Hey everybody, welcome to video number 30. This is the video for module 30 for business, math, and calculators. And in this video, we are going to be talking about markdowns. In the previous video, we talked about markups. So it makes sense that we're going to go the other direction and talk about markdowns. So with that, I am going to share my screen and we'll go ahead and look at some sample problems. Alrighty, so again, we're talking about markdowns. So let's go ahead and just jump into some examples of where this is seen in hopefully some real life applications. So sample problem number 1. A local thrift store is having a 40% off sale on all items. So a winter jacket that normally sells for $128 is on sale. We want to figure out what that sale price is. So again, a very common example of a markdown is when stores have a percent off kind of sale. So what we're going to do is we are going to solve an of-is problem. And the first step is to basically figure out how much they're taking off the price. And it's 40% off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 40% written as a decimal. So we convert 40% to 0.40, and we're going to multiply that by the normal price or the original price of the jacket. So when you do that, it's just straight multiplication in this case. We get a value of $51.20. What that is that's the amount that is coming off of the price. So we have one more step in order to figure out what the actual sale price is, and that is to subtract. So take that original amount, $128, and subtract off $51.20, and we get an answer of $76.80. And that value is the sale price. And so there you go. So basically what's going on with a markdown is a situation where you're starting with a price and you are decreasing that price by a certain amount. In many cases, we use a percent to indicate what that decrease is. So just again, be careful with percents that you always convert them into a decimal or a fraction before you do any math with them. So there we go. There's our first markdown example. So let's go ahead and jump to another problem. Here is sample problem number 2. Okay, this time the flooring store is overstocked on inventory, so the owners decide to have a 25% off sale. Okay, so again, another sale situation. We're taking a percent off. A particular style of carpet is on sale for $1.86 per square foot. What is the original price? So this time the values were given as a little bit different. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a little of-is statement, a little equation to help us solve this. Now notice this time we're doing a little bit different. What we're going to do is, because we're taking 25% off of the original price, what we can do is we can kind of think about the complement of that percent and say, well, what we're doing is we're actually going to be paying 75% of the original price. All right. So we got the 75% by subtracting. 100% minus 25% is 75%. We converted that into a decimal, so that's where the 0.75 comes from. We're going to multiply the 0.75 times the original amount. Okay? We don't know what that original amount is. That's what we're trying to solve, and so that's why we have the variable in place. And what happens is when we find 75% of the original amount, that is the sale price. So that's the $1.86. Okay. Again, the trick with a lot of these markdown problems is getting the numbers in the right spot and kind of making sure you're clear on what the meaning of each value is. Okay. Now, when we do this, we are dealing with a little mini equation now because we have to get the x by itself. So do the opposite operation. So we're going to divide both sides by the 0.75. And so x is equal to $2.48. That is the original price, and that's the answer that we are looking for. If you want to check your answer to see if it does in fact make sense, what you could do is you could start with the $2.48, figure out what 25% of $2.48 is and subtract that off. Should get $1.86. Okay? So there you go. Again, be careful when you are working with the percentages and make sure that the percentage that you use in the problem has the right label has the right meaning associated with it when you put it in, so that way things kind of match up the way that they're supposed to. All right, let's do a third example. This time we know what the normal price is. So normally a flat screen TV sells for $1,288. It's on sale for $1,094.80. What we want to figure out is how much was it marked down. So in the first problem, we figured out what the sale price was. In the second problem, we figured out what the original price was. In this problem, we're figuring out the percent. Okay? So what we're going to do is, again, set up an of is kind of problem. So it's basically figuring out what percent of 1,288 is the 1,094.80. Okay? So again, with an of is problem, get the numbers in the right spot and solve the little mini equation. So we need to divide both sides by 1,288. And that gets us a value of 0.85. So again, this is the decimal version. So we're going to convert this into a percent. Now again, the trick on these problems is interpreting what that percent is referring to. Based on how the original equation was set up, 85% corresponds to the sale price. That's the percent of the original amount that we are actually paying. What that means then is if we want to figure out what the markdown was, we're going to have to find its complement. We're going to have to subtract from 100%. So 100% minus 85% is 15%. So what we actually did in this problem, or in this situation, is it's like the store was having a 15% off sale. They found 15% of 1,288, subtracted that amount off to get the 1,094.80. Okay? So this is like the decrease in percent problems that we did in an earlier module. So kind of the same sort of process. The trick on these problems is making sure that you carefully interpret the meaning of the answer that you come up with, and the meaning of the percent in this case, to make sure that you are providing the answer that answers the question when all said and done. All right, we got one final problem. So this time we have a situation where a textbook is normally $180. The price of the textbook is marked down 20% during a sale, but it doesn't sell. So the sale price of the textbook is then marked down an additional 20%. Okay? What is the overall markdown percent of the textbook? All right, so what we need to do is we need to figure out basically what percentage the overall price was decreased. Now, the pitfall on a problem like this is a lot of times people want to say, well, it was 20% and then 20%, so it must be a 40% markdown. And that seems to make sense, but it's not the right answer. And the reason is because we're taking 20% of the 180 to start with to get the new sale price, but then it's the sale price that's decreased 20%, not the original amount. So the 20% that we're calculating has a different original amount in each step of the process. And so what we end up with is a situation where the markdown is actually less than 40%. All right, so let's do the math and show you how to figure this out. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start with that initial markdown. So initially it was marked down 20%. So in our problem, we're gonna do 80% or 0.8 of the 180 to figure out what the sale price was. Okay, so again, we got that 80% by subtracting from 100%. So what this means is during that first sale, they were selling the book for $144. Okay, again, it didn't sell. So when they go to mark it down a second time, what we're going to do is, because it's another 20%, we're going to do 80% or 0.8 again. But again, this time we are multiplying by 144. We're doing 80% of the sale price to get the new sale price. So when all is said and done, they are actually selling the book for $115.20. Okay. Now, here's the deal. We have to make sure we answer the question. The question wants to know what was the percent markdown when all is said and done. So we got a little more work to do. First thing we got to do is figure out, number one, how much did they actually knock off the price? So if I take the original 180 and subtract off the final sale price, what they did is they decreased the price by $64.80. Okay? Now, what we can do is we want to figure out, well, what percent of that original amount is the $64.80. So we're going to divide. Take 6480 divided by 180, and that gets us 0.36. Convert that to a percent, it's a 36% markdown. So the amount they took off when all was said and done happened to be 36% of the original amount. And that's the overall markdown that occurred. And so like I said, when we started this problem, it wasn't just 40%. It is a little less than that. It's actually a 36% markdown when all said and done. So this problem is definitely a little bit more involved because there are multiple steps here. We had to figure out what the sale price was along each step of the way. We then had to figure out how much actual money was deducted from the price, and then we had to use that value to figure out what percent represented that situation. So when all said and done, the overall markdown percent was 36%. All right, so there you go. Those were some example problems involving markdowns. Very similar to the markup problems that we did earlier, just that we're going in the other direction. Instead of the price being increased, the price of something was being decreased. The one exception was that last problem, which was a little bit trickier because we had several steps of the price being marked down, so that one was a little more involved. But hopefully the examples that we shared here were helpful, give you some insight into how to attack these kind of problems. Like always, please reach out to me with any questions that you have. I am more than happy to help out. Otherwise, thank you for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.